Well, here to talk about the fishing and agriculture industry, which has also been severely impacted by COVID-19, is Minister with responsibility for agriculture and fisheries, the Honorable Michael Pintard. Good evening to you, Mr. Pintard. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, there are some restrictions on fishing. Who is allowed to fish and under what restrictions?
Two general categories. Small fishers or subsistence fishers have the ability to go out. They're expected to be back in by 8 p.m. during the evening, and they are restricted from selling fish throughout the community. Commercial fishers are also permitted to go out, and they're expected, of course, to sell whatever they catch to various fish processing houses. The fishers are presently having consultation to make additional recommendations to the government that they set up various fish markets. But at this time, commercial fishers are expected to sell to fish processing houses and wholesalers. And the reason being is to ensure that there are sanitary conditions and social distancing for the customers that are purchasing from them.
Now, there's the issue of the crawfish industry, one of the most lucrative times of the year for fishermen. Is there any saving grace for them?
Oh, without question. Many of the commercial fishers who engage in the lobster industry were out before orders 1 and 2. And so we're permitting them to go out, to remain out until the end of the lobster season. If there are those who came in and must go out to pull up their traps, we're also permitting them to do that. The restriction would be that we do not expect that there would be 10 or more persons on those vessels. And of course, when they come in, they can go to fish processing plants or to the wholesalers, and then they're expected to obey the curfew. As expected, we have alerted the Defense Force, and we fully expect that only Bahamian divers are out on the vessels. There are no exceptions in this regard.
So maybe a long time before the average Bahamian gets a fresh conch salad. Are you getting pressure, I wonder, from those retailers to sell, you know, what were daily sales items for them?
Well, again, much like other merchants in the country, those persons who are in the fishing industry are feeling tremendous economic pressure, and many businesses would like to be open. But I think Bahamians are very understanding that we have to obey the guidelines presently to ensure that we can, in fact, flatten the curve. We do not yet know the extent of infection in the country, and we want to avoid any spikes or surges. And so I think persons are understanding.
What about the agriculture industry? What does all of this mean for them?
Well, again, my colleagues clearly understood that farmers and farming and fishing is critical to the growth and development of the Bahamas. And it was important for farmers to be able to go out, water their plants, tend to their plants, persons who run nurseries, or to care for the agricultural crops that they have, that they also sell to farmers. And of course, persons who engage in livestock farming have to go out and tend to their animals, and of course to provide them with food, medication. This is precisely why veterinarians are being permitted to function despite the order being in place, because there are both farm animals as well as non-farm animals that need attention and medical help. So again, I believe the Cabinet of the Bahamas was conscious of the fact that agriculture and marine resources are pivotal to the growth and development of the country. And this is precisely why we have put in place an emergency plan to really ramp up the amount of small and medium-sized farmers who can increase their production in the event that the supply chain is interrupted globally.
And finally, very quickly, diversification has obviously crept into this COVID-19 debate, and right alongside that, I think the issue of food security, the level of import that we're subject to here in the Bahamas, and I'm sure that's something that your ministry is thinking about at a time like this.
Yeah, again, this underscores the need for us to increase domestic production, and so import substitution is important. There are many crops, livestock, value-added products that the Bahamas has the capacity to produce and need not import. And so we are going over the course of the next few weeks to distribute hundreds and quite possibly thousands of small farming kits to help persons get started, as well as to help some farmers rebound who were adversely affected by Dorian. We will also be providing hydroponic operations so that they are able, again, to increase their production. And we are going to spend some time helping to increase egg as well as poultry production. So we're going to engage in a number of emergency initiatives to increase agriculture production.
All right, thank you very much, Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, the Honorable Michael Pintar. Thanks again for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.